Hello, dear listeners. I would like to make a non controversial statement. Mortals are fun. I would like to make a more controversial statement. What may be the most fun about being a mortal is the idea of sayings. Sayings are capricious and dynamic. There are those both in the cosmic and along the path of trouble who envy such things as sayings, and the sayings that convey emotions, the sayings that convey ideas, and all these things are things that we ourselves used to have when we were mortals. A charge is a prized responsibility, as is the work of being charged. Having a charge can help you remember some of these sayings, these emotions, these ideas. Now, there is an old saying that comes out of an old story. A man approaches a religious leader and asks about entering the gates of a place called heaven. You may remember this, or perhaps if you have a particularly religious charge. It is a place that is both a mansion and many mansions. It is a place visited in one filmographic experience by Robin Williams. It is important to most mortals to get into this heaven space after they die. And this heaven space, remarkably, either usually has white and blue theme motifs with a sort of light gold accent, or it is completely gold with a sort of white and blue accents. Ethereal and airy are good terms used to describe it. There may be hearts. So, this man asks about attending this place after death, and the religious leader tells him a shocking thing for a mortal to hear: to relinquish his money. All of it. Suffice it to say, the mortal is not pleased to hear this and leaves. The religious leader explains that it is easier to have a camel pass through the eye of a needle than to enter into heaven. Now, these needles show up in many places in holy books, whether through sewing or as an illustration of space. Mortals are placated by craftsmen work shown in their holy reliquary. They occasionally also cause some to fall asleep. Now, right now, Edgar would be grateful for a needle, a paperclip, or even an appropriately slim coat hanger. He can see through a keyhole a portion of a broken knob. He is in a particular bathroom in a fine local Surf City heating establishment. The bathroom is themed powder blue with many implements on the wall that describe the catching of fish or arm-mounted fake crab shells with googly eyes. There are nets, shadowy footprints in the sand meant to evoke flip-flops, and the lobsters are particularly unnerving to all who stop in to use the facilities. The owner's sense of humor is unique, suffice it to say. On the other side of the bathroom door is Officer Omer. Varric Omer is one of the most handsome men you'll ever meet. He is square-jawed, as though he just stepped out of a mythic movie set, and his police uniform flatters his broad chest. Even those for whom policing as an institution is problematic would agree that Officer Omer is dreamy, both in and out of uniform. Edgar has had naughty, impertinent thoughts about Varric Omer, but knows better. Mostly because Merrick is kind, and Edgar knows he is not. Also, when you go to the same boxing gym as someone in high school and then in the summer before some 18 or 19-year-olds round off to college, it can get messy to rekindle something unspoken, especially when you cannot speak as to whether the other is truly non-heteronormative or not. Now, Varric Omer is not one of the founding family descendants, though with his age and the wave of silvery hair amongst the tame darkness, you might mistake him for the responsible type of person to run for mayor and take his duties seriously. His aura screams civic authority along with kindness, humility. He is also handy with the drill. I've been informed it's also important to remind listeners that he has a small streak of silver white in his brunette's widow peak. Again, just a touch shaggy, just a touch long. This is Varric Omer's hair. Now, the problem with using a drill on a door for a bathroom is that it will put the bathroom out of commission for the rest of the day. And Edgar will feel guilty for things like this that are at no fault of his own and end up buying all the pre-made turkey sandwiches from the small shop, a shop that he once ran through barefoot as a child. It has new owners now, but pictures of the town line the walls inside the eatery, and one of them is of Edgar, a tiny Edgar, as tiny then as he is tall now, and yet still as hopeless as he seems to be. There's a picture of Varric Omer in junior high on those walls as well, 12 years old and already too tall, like if an arch became a human but grinning wildly, almost then in motion with a jersey and a ball in hand. Edgar offers Varric one of the sandwiches out on the street, but Varric waves the offer off as they stand near Varric's car. Edgar feels cocky all of a sudden, and his shoulders stoop a little, which is impressive considering even being in a sort of husky fighting shape makes it almost impossible for him to look otherwise. You are good at getting yourself into messes, Varric teases. But hey, I had my deputy bring the drill with the promise I'd return it, so I will. Varric's voice is so even, so self-assured, it makes Edgar almost ache to hear it. I would have been stuck in there for hours without you. You know Patricia's hearing is going. I know. Her and Doris should have sold the shop long ago, but you can't blame them. Surf City, right? It's home, and we're not really a motionless crowd, are we? Varric turns profile, gesturing to the lines of the town and then beyond it to the water to one side and the trees to the other. Green and blue and subtle shades of tan and gold and gray. For a moment, it seems they are alone in the universe. Listen, come on. I broke up whatever you were doing today, Edgar offers. At least come by the shop or the house for a set of 6 on me. Ben gives you any guff. How is Ben? Here Mace is back in town. Edgar lets out a sigh. Oh, they fight a lot. I don't interfere. Edgar has a deep craving for a cigarette. VR seems almost impossible to come by these days, verging on unusual. Unusual enough for Edgar to pay attention to it at least. They never did seem eye to eye. You're always way more even-handed, Varric says, ignoring Edgar's need for VR, unknown to him. Edgar shrugs. Appearances can be deceiving, huh? Oh, don't I know it? Can you believe I was almost on Who's the Boss with my mug? Varric says warmly, drawing a hand across his chin playfully. I can picture you dancing with a vacuum. I don't know if that's a compliment or not. You keep out of trouble, huh, Eddie? Maybe I'll take you up on those donuts sometime if I'm feeling peckish. Varric Omer slaps Edgar playfully on the bicep, and there's a brief jolt on Edgar's end. He could swear Varric winks at him as he gets back to his car, turns on the siren, and drives away as though a cowboy in the Mythic West. Edgar stands there for a long moment before he realizes he's on the street, hands in his pockets. He is 15 again for a moment, seeing another man for the first time, realizing what it means to him. The same as it means to sneak one of his father's playboys. He is shy, desperately covers it with bravado. He always remembers that first time, even just the sight, let alone the touch, the smell of the water, the jokes, the echoes cascading off the insular walls. He remembers the dinner that night. Spaghetti from a jar, noodles from a box, garlic bread from scratch with love. Feeling of weightlessness and of secretiveness. Feeling of knowing himself and not knowing what it means. In 6 weeks' time, Varric Omer will be found naked in the park. He will not lose his job, but the course of the world around him will change after that. The later revealed culprit will not shock you, dear listeners, if you keep to your charge guide and pay attention. Perhaps it will be Edgar Black. The cosmic at this time would you like you to consider the evolution of soup. It is a simple thing, and some prefer thick, some thin, some with many meats, and some with little to no meats. Soup comes in a variety of colors at a variety of temperatures. Be like soup, filling, flexible, encouraging. Engel has a set of soup commercials on VHS tape that you may borrow for reference. And if your charge has a particularly good super bread recipe, a request from the homemaking division is that you write down the recipe for the Foundation cookbook. Yes, it is that time of year. No, I cannot enter the cream of celery recipe my first charge had. Please stop asking. Rules are there for a reason. Edgar returns with sandwiches as Ben is typing away at the computer in the kitchen office. He picks at a sandwich absentmindedly and rattles off numbers as if to himself. Inventories, sell price, it's the kind of thing no one else wants to do in some parts of the year. Not even Ben wants to do it. He must steel himself to his work, remind himself that this is his life, and try not to think of himself wishing so bitterly that Mace were elsewhere, like he'd been for so long now. This ideology is at war with the parts of himself that think having his youngest brother around is nice. Ben knows this is not the only war inside of himself, and he knows that he cannot hold the door closed forever, but is willing to give it a try. A college try, as it were. The powdered sugar that cascades up the sides of the bowl in the large standing mixer catches everyone off guard. A chuckle at the tail end of the screech of the paddle. Edgar stops mid-chew and smirks at Mace. You look like a ghost. No, he looks like Ghost G. Can you not? God, it's in my eyes. I feel like I should give you the rest of the day off, but I'm doing inventory, Ben says, so go home and clean up and then come back, huh? Come on, Ben, Edgar says with a bearish growl. Oh, don't come on, Ben. Me, Mace is our brother. We can't let him going around looking like this. People would talk. Mace only sighs. I'll be back in like half an hour. An hour if a meteor falls from the sky. It is clear that he would prefer the meteor. After he's left, Ben rolls across the terracotta kitchen floor on the wheeled office chair to survey the mess and the part of the large standing mixer that needs repair now. His brow furrows. Hey, Eddie. Edgar. Ed, when did we get this mixer in? It hasn't even been a year, right? It is an industrial grade turn mixer, only in silver and gray. A big monstrosity. Now, technically, they do own two of them. This one they have allocated for large batch frosting, and there is purple food dye nearby as the lilac donuts are heavily in rotation at the moment, along with lemon curd. But it does look as though someone has taken a big bite out of one of the metallic paddle wheels. There are grooves just alongside where the mechanism spins. An almost impossible thing to do or create, even while cleaning the machine. It is curious. But you haven't been paying attention to the story, have you? You're still thinking about Barrick Omer, aren't you? I don't blame you. That is the hazard of talking about Barrick. That's what the trouble wants to know. The way his hair is described, the thickness of his build, and how he fits into his dark brown sheriff pants with the gold piping down the side, the way the small of his back dips in, the way he breathes and his nostrils flare, the way he bites down on the mouthguard when he's on the punching bag at the gym, when he's doing push-ups on a wild trail after a jog. Sweating, exerting himself. Wow. Are you thinking about Officer Varric Omer? What are you thinking, dear listener? That was a message from Trouble. Now it begins again when Mace gets home, when he least expects it. Mace is running a towel through his hair and trying to find a shirt that Ben won't mock him for, using the sniff test at this point in the week, when he hears it. You see, Mace didn't just run from Surf City to get out of the Black family shadow. Yes, that would be reason enough, of course. But remember his mother, Sarah? Well, she and him share many attributes, gifts, if you like. And one of those gifts are the sweet nothings of the universe. Pervert! Chuckling laugh, sound of a snorting horse, sound of evening bullfrogs. Mace feels the house grow smaller and mildewy around him as he slowly walks the hallways of the home, his mouth grimacing hard into the expected horror. Please, he begs in a whisper. His mouth goes dry, bubbling hot, a tear just in the corner. Please don't. They're all perverts, one of the painting's ancestor barks out. The whole family tree. It's a wonder they don't chop us all down. Look at you. You look like your mother. You know how that happens? And don't listen to Kaivis. He just wishes he were as big a pervert as the rest of us, Cat says, smiling. It is nearly purple, though most people see it as sort of a creamy white. Mace, Mace. Mace turns to hear his mother's voice. You came back. There was nowhere else to go, Mace says, defeated. Sarah Black grins. It is a coy grin. In the bounds of the painting her soul seems stranded in. Didn't I say you couldn't run from your destiny, my love? Your destiny is here and we have much to discuss. There is a mayoral race coming up and there are threads to affix before the rising. Mom, please, I know before you died you became, this is not about my addiction or your brothers. The whole town will need you. And you need us. We're incessant, but we do know things. Mace looks at his mother's face, glowing as though a Raphaelite study. He looks toward his father, unmoving, one of the few silent pieces. What kind of madness will Mace face now that the paintings in the Black ancestral home have begun coming to life for him again? And are they who they claim to be, or are they simply other spirits? Will Edgar ever admit his lifelong crush to Mariko Vare? And what of Ben's inventory? Can Surf City Donuts survive with an industrial-sized stand mixer down? Tune in next time for these answers and more. Surf City is an audio work of John McDonald and John McDonald Productions. It is meant for entertainment purposes only and is not meant to advise anyone on lifestyle, health, or spiritual philosophical issues of there or any time. All opinions expressed are held by the characters and in some cases the creator of Surf City and Surf City Donuts, John McDonald.